I thought my best friend and fiancé were the two people I could trust the most. Turns out, they were the ones I should have watched closest. If someone had told me 3 years ago that my best friend, the guy who once tackled a drunk dude for trying to grope my girlfriend, would be the one to stab me in the back, I'd have laughed in their face. Hard. Marcus was my day one, my brother from another mother. The guy who showed up at my house in a thunderstorm at 2 a.m. just because I texted, "You up?" with a sad face. We had history. Loyalty. Or at least I thought we did. It all started in 6th grade when I was the new kid with hand-me-down jeans and a bad haircut. Marcus was the opposite. Popular, athletic, the type of kid who made friends without trying. But for some reason, he picked me. Sat next to me in homeroom, offered me one of his extra Lunchables like it was some sacred offering. And just like that, we were tight. From day one, he treated me like I belonged. Over time, we became that duo everyone recognized. It was always Nate and Marcus, or Marcus and Nate. Never one without the other. We joined the same clubs, played on the same teams, double-dated in high school, even though those were awkward as hell, and got accepted into the same college. People used to joke that if we ever fought, the world would probably end. I used to laugh at that. Now I kind of wish it had. When my dad got sick during junior year of high school, everything in my life just stopped. I started missing classes. My grades dropped. I wasn't eating or sleeping right. Marcus was the one who pulled me through. He'd show up after school with homework, snacks, sometimes even just to sit with me and not say anything. He never acted like it was a burden. That's the thing about betrayal. It cuts deepest when it comes from someone who once saved you. By the time we hit college, things were solid. I was majoring in architecture, Marcus went for marketing. We rented a crappy 2-bedroom off-campus, split rent and ramen, and lived like kings on a budget. He had a revolving door of hookups and situationships, while I was more low-key. Then Hannah happened. Hannah was in my calculus class sophomore year. Gorgeous, quick-witted, and scary smart. She caught me staring once, and smiled like she knew she'd caught me. I asked her out after 3 weeks of pretending I knew what the hell derivatives were. To my surprise, she said yes. 3 dates later, I was done, hooked, gone. Marcus was the first person I told. Poor for. He was weirdly quiet at first, but then clapped me on the back and grinned. "She's hot, bro, don't screw it up." Classic Marcus. Supportive on the surface, with a side of shade. I didn't think much of it. Over the next couple of months he got to know her. He'd joke around with her, call her Queen Hannah, and sometimes they'd even banter like they were best friends. I liked that. Back then, anyway. I thought it meant my two favorite people were getting along. Looking back, there were signs. Subtle, yes, but definitely there. Like the way Marcus would always bring up stuff I couldn't afford when Hannah was around. "Bro, you see that Maldives package? Insane. That's where you gotta take her for spring break," he'd say, knowing full well my bank account was held together by student loans and prayer. Then there were the compliments. Not just casual ones, either. These were layered. "You ever notice how photogenic she is?" Or, "She's got this vibe, man, like she was meant for something bigger." I chalked it up to him being dramatic. He'd always been that guy, the one who turned everything into a movie moment. I didn't realize I was in one, just not the kind I wanted. Fast forward a year, and I was all in. I'd saved up for a ring, talked to her parents, even confided in Marcus about how I wanted to propose on our trip to Asheville that fall. He helped me pick the spot, a cabin with a view of the mountains right as the leaves were turning. It was perfect, and she said yes. He acted thrilled. Took us both out to celebrate, ordered the most expensive bottle of champagne and toasted to forever. Hannah teared up. I was grinning like an idiot. "Marcus?" He smiled too, but there was something in his eyes I couldn't place. Not then, anyway. After we got engaged, things started to shift. Subtly, but enough that I noticed. Marcus started texting less. He'd bail on game nights or make excuses when I invited him over. At first, I thought maybe he just felt like a third wheel. But then Hannah started acting off too. She was more distant, distracted. Her phone was always flipped face down. She'd say she was tired, or had to work late. And while I didn't want to be that guy, the jealous, insecure fiancé, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Then came the night it all unraveled. The silence in that room was suffocating. I didn't speak, didn't move, just stood there in the doorway, keys in one hand, backpack sliding off my shoulder. My eyes flicked from Hannah to Marcus. legs casually overlapping on the couch, wine glasses on the table, the bottle already half gone, the space between them? Gone. His hand was resting behind her on the cushions, 2 inches from her shoulder. Her face flushed, not from surprise, more like guilt. "Nate!" Hannah blurted, standing up way too fast. "I thought you were with your mom?" She tried to make it sound casual, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. I looked at Marcus. He didn't get up, just stared at me with this unreadable look like he was already calculating his next move. "This what you do when I'm gone?" I asked. My voice sounded distant, hollow, like it was coming from someone else. Hannah stepped forward, palms out. "It's not what it looks like." I laughed, dry and bitter. "Come on. At least be original." Marcus finally stood. "You're overreacting." There it was. No denial. No attempt to de-escalate, just immediate gaslighting. "Overreacting?" I repeated. "You're drinking wine in the dark with my fiancée. At my place, while I'm supposed to be across town." "She called me," Marcus said, eyes still locked on mine. "She needed someone to talk to. That's it." "Funny," I said. "I thought that's what I was for." Hannah looked panicked now. "I didn't mean for you to walk in like this." "So it would have been fine if I didn't find out?" Her mouth opened, but she didn't have an answer. I turned to Marcus. "You need to leave. Right now." He shrugged like it was no big deal, like he hadn't just lit a match to a friendship that spanned over a decade. "You're acting crazy." "No," I said quietly. "I'm acting like someone who's been stabbed in the back." He slid on his shoes, grabbed his jacket from the hook, and walked toward the door, but not before he muttered under his breath, "It wasn't a big deal." I slammed the door behind him so hard the walls shook. Then I turned to Hannah. She was still standing there, eyes watery but dry, not crying, not yet. She opened her mouth to speak, but I raised a hand. "Just tell me the truth," I said. "How long has this been going on?" Her silence was loud. "How long?" She looked down. "A few weeks." I stared at her. She looked back up, saw that I wasn't buying it, and broke. "Since spring?" she whispered. I closed my eyes. That was 6 months ago. We'd gotten engaged in August. I'd spent the summer saving for a ring, planning a proposal, writing my vows like a damn poet. She'd been sleeping with Marcus the whole time. I didn't yell, didn't throw anything. I just sat down on the arm of the couch, trying to breathe through the nausea climbing my throat. "Did you sleep with him?" She hesitated. That was answer enough. "How many times?" "I don't know," she said softly. "It just kept happening. That line kept happening. Hit like a sucker punch." I rubbed my hands over my face. "Why him? Of all people?" She finally started crying. "I didn't mean to fall for him. I don't know what happened. You were so busy and stressed." He just listened. "I've been building our future," I snapped. "That stress? It was for us. For you." "I know," she sobbed. "I know I messed up." "You messed up?" I stood, the rage finally rising in my chest. "You didn't forget to take the trash out, Hannah. You destroyed everything." She reached for me, and I backed away. I went into our room and started packing. She followed me in. "Nate, don't do this. We can fix it." "No," I said, tossing clothes into a duffel. "You don't come back from this. You knew exactly what you were doing. Every time." She dropped to her knees beside the bed. "Please. Don't throw us away. You already did." I zipped the bag and walked out without another word. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't be there another second. I slept in my car that night, parked behind a gas station, curled in the driver's seat, staring at the roof in silence. The next morning I checked into a cheap motel and sat on the edge of the bed for what felt like hours. I texted no one, not even my mom, but around noon I got a message from Jenna, one of our old mutuals. "Hey, is everything okay? I heard some stuff. Wanted to check in." I stared at the message for a minute, then typed, Did you know about them? A pause. I didn't know. No. But yeah, I always thought something felt off. I saw them at Aaron's party back in May. Real flirty. Way too close for just friends. I should have said something. I'm so sorry. I dropped the phone on the bed and stared at the wall. May. That was when I flew out to visit my dad for the weekend. He was recovering from surgery. I remembered texting Hannah pics from the hospital cafeteria. She told me she missed me. Marcus said he was working that weekend. Now I wondered if they'd spent it in my bed. I felt like a fool. Worse than that. I felt used. Like I was the placeholder in my own relationship. The guy who showed up on time, paid the bills, planned the future, while she went looking for thrills with my so-called best friend. And I couldn't help but ask myself the ugliest question of all. Was I not enough? But even through the pain, part of me knew the truth. This wasn't about me not being enough, it was about them not knowing what loyalty meant. And I wasn't done uncovering the damage. The thing no one tells you about betrayal is that it doesn't just change your relationship with the people who broke you, it warps everything. You start questioning yourself, your judgment, your past. You rewind every moment like it's a crime scene, searching for what you missed, where you went wrong, and I missed a lot. After Jenna's confession about that party in May, it was like the floodgates opened. People started talking. Quietly at first. Texting me things like, "Hey, I didn't want to get involved, but," or, "I always thought it was weird when." The number of, "I didn't say anything because you looked so happy" messages made me sick. Happy? Was walking around with a knife in my back, smiling like an idiot. Turns out Marcus had been laying the groundwork for a long time. Subtle stuff, undermining me when I wasn't around. Joking to mutual friends about how I was too vanilla for someone like Hannah. Saying I was married to my work, and she deserved someone who actually paid attention. Someone like him. And Hannah? She never corrected any of it. Just smiled, played along. Let the image of our relationship fray at the edges, so no one would be surprised when it finally tore. That's what got me the most. Not just the cheating, but the premeditation. The strategy. Like I was the only one who didn't know I was being replaced. I avoided them both for weeks. Blocked their numbers. Ignored the emails. I stayed at a friend's place. Luca, someone I'd known since freshman year. He didn't ask for details. Just handed me a beer and told me I could crash as long as I needed. Then one night, I came home from work to find him standing in the kitchen with this tight look on his face. "We need to talk," he said. I braced myself. I ran into Marcus. I didn't say anything. He said, "You've been ghosting him." That's one word for it. Luca shifted, clearly uncomfortable. He also said, "You've been blowing things out of proportion. That it was just a drunken mistake. That you're making it bigger than it is." I laughed. Cold, humorless. "Is that what he told you?" Luca nodded slowly. "Look, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened." But he swore it wasn't serious. That Hannah came on to him. That he tried to stop it. "And you believe him?" "I didn't say that," Luca said. "But I needed to tell you, because he's planning something." That got my attention. Like what? He said he's thinking of telling everyone his side. Spinning it so you look like the overreacting ex. Said he might post something on social. I stared at him. He wouldn't. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure. This was Marcus now. Someone I didn't recognize. Someone who smiled while he twisted the knife. Later that night, I checked his Instagram. He'd posted a black and white selfie with a caption that read, "People love a villain when it's not them. But I'll wear the horns if I have to." The comments were full of fire emojis, and people guessing what it meant. A few even tagged Hannah. It hit me then. He wasn't sorry. Not even close. He was building a narrative. Making himself the misunderstood hero in his own breakup saga. I wasn't about to let him. I didn't blast him online. I didn't write some dramatic post or air dirty laundry for likes, but I did start gathering receipts. Texts from Jenna. Messages from mutual friends. Screenshots of DMs that showed Marcus and Hannah had been in contact way before May, some of them from February. One even showed Marcus bragging to someone about finally getting what he wanted. That one almost made me throw my phone across the room. The worst part? A message Hannah sent to a friend 2 weeks before our engagement trip, saying she wasn't sure if she should say yes because part of her still had feelings for someone else. She said yes anyway. I saved everything. Then I asked Hannah to meet. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral territory. She looked tired, like she hadn't been sleeping. I didn't care. She smiled weakly. Hey. Don't. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Good. I'm only here to ask one thing, I said, sliding my phone across the table. Did it ever stop? She glanced at the screen. Saw the texts. The dates. She didn't even try to deny it. No, she said quietly. It didn't. How long? She hesitated. Almost a year. That was longer than we'd been engaged. I nodded, trying to keep my face blank. Why? I don't know. Try harder. She sighed. It was a tension. It was excitement. He made me feel different, like I mattered. And I didn't? You did, she said, eyes wet now. But it was different. You were safe. He was dangerous? She nodded. I laughed again. I couldn't help it. Congratulations, you traded loyalty for adrenaline. I made a mistake. No, I said. You made a decision, over and over again. I stood up to leave. She reached out, but I pulled back. We're done, Hannah. Completely. As I walked out, I felt something loosen in my chest. Like I'd been holding in poison and finally let it go. That night, I did something I hadn't done in months. I slept. Dreamless, uninterrupted sleep. But I wasn't finished. A week later, Marcus hosted a party. Some lame rooftop thing he was hyping online. I didn't go, obviously. But Luca did. And he texted me something interesting. Bro, he's telling people you were cheating on Hannah, and that he stepped in to rescue her from a toxic relationship. Whole narrative is upside down. I didn't respond. I just forwarded the screenshots, all of them, to every person Marcus knew. Friends, coworkers, family. Even the girl he was currently dating, a model he'd met at some influencer brunch. The reaction was swift. By the end of the week, his feed was flooded with people calling him out. Some unfollowed. Others outright dragged him. The model girlfriend dumped him publicly, with a story post that said, "Didn't know I was dating a snake, thanks to whoever sent me the truth." I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't celebrate. I just felt free. But the final twist came a few days later, when I got a message request on Instagram. From Marcus. The preview said, "We need to talk." I didn't open Marcus's message right away. I stared at it for a solid 5 minutes. Just that little preview bubble. We need to talk. Like we were still the kind of people who had things to talk about. Like he hadn't shattered a decade of friendship and loyalty. Like it was just a plate he accidentally knocked off the counter. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. I tapped it. Marcus. Look, I know I messed up. I didn't mean for things to happen the way they did. I want to talk. In person. No apology. No accountability. Just a vague, "I messed up," like he forgot to return a borrowed hoodie. I left him on red for 2 days. Then I told him to meet me at a diner near campus. Middle of the day, broad daylight, public place. Not because I was scared, but because I didn't want to risk losing my cool. I'd been through too much to let him drag me down again. He was already there when I walked in. Sitting at a booth in the back, hoodie pulled low, sunglasses on like he was trying to be anonymous. I wanted to laugh. What was he hiding from? Shame? He took off the glasses when he saw me, eyes bloodshot, probably from another night of drinking and pretending nothing was his fault. "Hey," he said. I sat. Didn't say a word. He sighed like I was making this harder than it had to be. "I'm not going to pretend like I didn't screw up," he started. I did. What happened between me and Hannah? It was wrong. I blinked at him. "You slept with my fiancée for a year." "I know." and I hate myself for it. Not enough to stop. He looked down at the table. It just got complicated. No, I said. It got convenient. You liked being the hero in her mess, liked knowing you were the one she turned to, that you were the exception to her vows. He rubbed his hands together. Nervous tick. He always did that before he lied. She told me you two weren't doing great, that she felt alone. I thought, you thought you could replace me. He didn't answer. I leaned in, kept my voice low. You know what really pisses me off? It's not just that you betrayed me. It's that you pretended to be my friend while you did it. You sat in my apartment, drank my beer, gave me advice about the woman you were screwing behind my back. His face twisted. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. We sat in silence for a moment. Then he said, "People are starting to turn on me. You really went nuclear." I laughed, shaking my head. You mean, people found out the truth? You did this, Marcus. I just stopped covering for you. He frowned. I didn't think you'd go that far. You didn't think I'd grow a spine, you mean?